Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Radio Works World with your host, Ysanne Lewis, timing consultant, astrologer. And hello again, it's such a delight to be talking with you. And I'm just so loving my work at the moment. I don't know how many of you have done a career or a project or hobby for nearly 40 years. And some of you listening to this might say, well, goodness, doesn't it get boring? Don't you want to change? And because I'm quite a multifaceted person, I've done many things in my life alongside astrology, and I'm fascinated with how people tick, how all the patterns and all the connections in life that our energy can show up in a beautiful template called the birth chart. The word horoscope means view of the hour, so knowing one's time of birth is quite useful, whether for oneself or for an event or for a project. But the full date of birth and the longitude, latitude, the place of birth is also very, very useful if one doesn't know the time. So I found over the years that it's been absolutely, I'm so honoured. I'm so honoured to be doing this, I hesitate to use the word channel, but to be a conduit to connect with what is above to what is below. And I think it has never been more important in this year we're living in, 2016, to be aware of how things can manifest really, really quickly. Many of us are saying, I'm sure I can see some of you nodding as you listen, that time is going very, very fast. It truly is. It's been 6 days since I last talked with you, and that seems to have gone by in a flash of a second. And yet somehow there's the gap between the past and the future regarding change, development. Look at technology. Did you know that when the internet came into being, I think there were about 23,000 websites, and now, 20 odd years on, I think it's like over 1 billion internet domains. Now, that's huge, isn't it? But even from week to week, a lot can change quickly. In the UK, where I live, in London, of course, it's like decades have passed in a week politically. And there's humour in that as well, of course. We have to see the humour. And what I'm finding it interesting here in London is that there's been a lot of change of leadership, resignations, forced out of office, stepping back from leadership. And what does that tell us, that umbrella of leadership where we look up or hope to get assistance and help and guidance? Well, it's definitely telling me that we need to contact our own inner leader, our own inner parent figure, our own inner leader. And it's not that we can do some of their jobs, it's just that we need to find our own answers more. We are growing up really, really fast as human beings. And what I feel is very important is that when we can be authentic and do what we need to do from that basis, the things we want will come. To be authentic means we author our own life. When we just want things and we wonder why they don't happen, it's sometimes because we're not in touch with what our real needs are or what our potential is. And this is what I do when I do a consultation with a client. I find it a great honor to do this with my clients. In a way, it is touching souls, the soul journey of the person. Sure, I can do a practical reading. People come to me for business advice, to look at practical steps forward. Some people are quite atheistic. The beauty of astrology, the language of the stars, is it doesn't judge. It's not religious in any way. It's a mirror showing each one of us our own journey, our own cycles. People often ask me, this is a big question, they ask me, is everything fated? Is everything free will? So how do we know when something is fated or offering us a crossroad of free will? I think we do know. We have all our answers within us because, firstly, the birth chart, based on the time, date, and place of birth, is a mirror of our inner world. It helps us to navigate. And whenever we reach a crossroad, like when we are driving or walking, we do hopefully stop, look and listen. And crossroads in life, particularly when we've gone off road a little, or something seems to hold us up, are times of the higher self is wanting to say, is this really the direction I should be going in? Why am I being given different options? Why am I being halted in my progress? And that's when tuning in inside, that's when being authentic comes to the fore. Difficult sometimes when perhaps we're upset, we have confusion, there's been loss in our lives. And that's my job in a way when somebody comes to see me, to look at this map and to bring out what the client knows is already within them. We all have our own answers. So to me, it's quite sacred, sitting with a person, allowing that wisdom, because we've all got that from within, to emerge as we talk. I personally believe in a soul that we come to earth, into a body, into a family line. We choose those circumstances to give us the best possible conditions for growth, for service, for enjoying as well. And let's not forget that. The Creator, if you like, wants us to enjoy. And indeed, if the Creator gave us life, that universal intelligence, then we're being creative. That is when we are most alive. What a lovely thought. Well, I think so anyway. We often sense something is coming toward us in way of change. You can feel it. People say feel it in the waters. And I think any transition time makes one quite vulnerable. And that's when we need to really appreciate the small things around us, the little kindnesses we can give, being very attentive in the moment, and to be very grounded. One of the major planets which cycle around our charts is Saturn. You may have heard me talk about Saturn before, Father Time. Saturn is where we need to drop anchor sometimes and wait for the tides and currents to move. It's our own inner teacher. And often that comes along in our charts, in our lives. Often my clients come to me when Saturn is, if you like, transiting personal sensitive points in our birth charts, where we have a learning situation going on in some way, or we have to grow up in some way, or we have to prune things which aren't working. We have to start being very self-honest. Very few of us actually like endings. And yet they are obviously a huge part of life, culminating one day with a physical ending. The soul well continues, but the physical ending here. So that is a major question people ask me. What is fate and what is free will? I think we are perhaps destined to experience some things, particular people to meet, places to live in, services to offer the planet, talents to explore, which we've also inherited through our family line. And those are areas where what we do with them is up to us. Free will still comes in, and we can indeed ignore them, like staying out in the wings in a play and we're too afraid to come on. We get stage fright. That's our choice. I think when we can change our habits, the things that we're very familiar with, sometimes we need habits, but we need to create new ones. That's when free will starts to operate more. Otherwise, things keep repeating. I believe the wonderful scientist, physicist, Einstein was a highly intuitive being, highly intuitive. He once said that insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. And it's true, we have to be aware when something is stuck. When we're getting very stuck, that's when we start to get tired, we feel more toxic. We're getting a lot of mirrors, a lot of signs from the outside world that we are. But again, because we've got free will, we can ignore it. And again, my job with the reading is to see how are you flowing? How are you flowing with your own inner energies? What do you need to prune and to change? What soul contracts do you need to change with people and situations? Are they up for negotiation? Maybe perhaps have ended. Are they ready for new life? So it's a whole smorgasbord of many, many things. And I also find it quite beautiful to look at where we fit into our family line, our ancestry, what we're carrying like a shield, what we're here to heal and to overcome. So when somebody comes to me, yes, I look at the whole map, the potential, the higher potential of that person. It's beautiful doing children's charts from that point of view. It's absolutely an honour to do those, because it can be really useful as time goes by for the parents, and one day for the child who's become an adult. And of course, people come to me to say, what's going on now? Often I'll pick up on maybe events, or not so much events, but turning points coming up ahead, and they're very aware of that, and they say, well, yeah, I felt I should wait 3 months for that, or oh, I did know it was the right time. There's no surprises. It endorses. That's the beauty of astrology and timing. It endorses what you actually know inside. And if we could all trust that, we wouldn't need people like myself, but we all need that at times, just to sort of kind of tweak that map, strengthen that inner sat nav, GPS, update the map. So when I see somebody and we've had a session and I feel they've made a leap forward, it's brought them back home to themselves. I feel that the work I do, the reward I get from that is my profession, surely, but the bigger reward is that feeling of working with somebody's soul, walking that journey with them, endorsing what they know inside, or if they're really off kilter with that, getting them back on that track. And seeing that new freedom that comes about. I said earlier that this is a very important year, a vitally important year, in fact, for being aware of how we are flowing with our energies, how we are using our time. Are we using our hours wisely? Do we know when to go with the tides of life? Do we know when to drop anchor? To really trust that part of us which is nature, the part which is below the earth, and the planets above mirror that. When we do that, we don't feel isolated or separate anymore. We can't, how can we feel alone? We are part of that bigger picture, that unity. Of course, we get that word from the word universe, don't we? So I think that's the whole area of fate and free will is something that people ask me. And they also ask me how they can find their purpose. And that purpose, of course, can be manifold. Sometimes we have just one purpose. You get the geniuses in life who just live out one talent and everything else revolves around it. But for most of us at different stages in our life, we have different purposes. And the important thing, and I see this through the birth chart as well, is to know when that purpose has been fulfilled and we're ready to start another one. Not to stay behind, if you like. So finding the soul path, our own souls, and it wants to manifest through our brains, our hands, our movement in our bodies, and they need to be in alignment. And yes, through the birth chart, I can see particular signatures there of what the soul is here to develop, to contribute, and the beauty that comes from that. And if the clients are open to that approach, the soul approach, I'm very, very happy to walk that talk with them. Astrology has been around since the beginning of time. It's called the first religion, although it's not a religion. And it is non-judgmental. It puts us back in touch with who we are. And this year of 2016, there's many, many strong messages from the heavens. They seem quite contradictory ones. Seems quite a lot of confusion. And never has there been a better time to be in touch with this planet Saturn, which I mentioned earlier, which is our pivot point, our gravity, not just gravitas, but our gravity within us, to really feel that connection with ourselves, with Earth, the planet Earth. and to feel that pivot, which we can't lose. And I feel if my work can actually help in that way, I am very, very happy. So this, in a way, is giving a kind of, not just a compliment, but an overdue award to that subject of astrology and timing, because astrology is all about the power of timing. We can do whatever we want, but timing becomes quite important. And we are beings of cycles and rhythms whilst we're in bodies, which we are. And once we tap into that, how can we feel alone? We can give to others much more. We know our authenticity, and the right things come to us at the right time. Well, I hope that was interesting. I've enjoyed talking about it because I've just been sitting back earlier today, just feeling so appreciative and grateful for one of my best friends, which is my work, astrology and timing, has walked beside me for nearly 40 years. And I'm really grateful to have this opportunity to talk with you all as well. So I'll say goodbye to next time. And if you've got questions, I'd love to hear them. It's such a big subject that I feel I could talk about this forever. And I do work very, very intuitively. So what will come up next time will be what comes up, and hopefully very relevant to you all. So I'll say goodbye for now and have a lovely, lovely week ahead.